Wade is guarding Bryant. Artest looking, gets it to Bryant. Bryant dribbling, has to put it up with the buzzer. Banks it in! He banks in the three! And the Lakers win the game!
Good morning. What is going on, man? It's Winning on Wednesday, and you're probably thinking, hey, wait a second, but that looks like the Tuesday trading backdrop. Yeah, that's right. I am not in the studio today. Mr. Joe Campert, one of the normal hosts with the show with me, is on the road today, building relationships and growing his business. He's out in Arizona making stuff happen. So I am be running your show, but we've got a great guest for you. Can't wait to bring him on. If you saw the announcement, you may already know, right? But real quick, and I don't have the banner up because I just don't have all the tools that Joe has on my login here, but big shout out to Viva Virtual Solutions. They are one of the sponsors of the show, actually the sponsor of the show. And if you are in need of a VA, man, you need to call Viva Virtual Solutions. Our producer that helps us with all of our content and syndicate is one of the Viva VAs, right? She does all of our short form content on the back end. She runs the comments, helps us out, scheduling guests, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And they can do a lot more than just that. Like, they are insurance specialists. We have just stepped in and helped them with some of this social media stuff. And they're letting us basically train a VA through Lily to help do that. So thank you, Lily, for everything you do to help run the show. And thank you, Viva Virtual Solutions, man. If you need a VA, give them a holler. I mean, whether it's making telemarketing calls to set appointments, service calls, whatever you need, they got it all out of there. So give them a shout. Talk to Rob Lopez or give us a call. We can get you connected. And to get into our show, as you know, the title of the show, right? Every day, the theme of the show is Winning on Wednesday. We always talk about topics kind of around winning, success stories. We interview a lot of great people on the show and talk about what they're doing in the business. And the guest that we have on today, I'm of the opinion that at least in the Medicare space, and maybe even the ACA space, I'm of the opinion that there aren't too many people winning at this dude's level. What he has done in the industry is magnificent. What he is currently doing for the industry is magnificent. I met him at Medicare Con last year in Vegas for the first time. Was super impressed getting to know him. Didn't realize, like when I met him at first, I thought he was just a tech dude. But it turns out, no. He's vice president of a massive Medicare organization that has like 25,000 members, enrollees, clients, whatever you want to call it. Now, if you're any good at math in the Medicare space, that's about $6 million in annual renewals, and it's probably a little better than that. So super successful guy. He is the creator of RetireFlo, and I want to get him on stage. Mr. Dalton Miller, what is going on, dude?
Good morning, Tony Merwin. You know, you were talking about how that we should be surprised that it was the Tuesday intro and not the Wednesday intro, but I saw Kobe on there, and my younger brother, he sends me sometimes at night before I go to bed, he'll send me the clip of Kobe saying, "Job's not finished. Job finished. Job's not finished."
I like that.
I'm just saying, it's a beautiful morning on with Tony Merwin. And by the way, I feel like our bromance is blossoming this year.
It is growing. It is growing quite a bit.
But this is our year. This is our year, Tony. So
this is our year, brother.
I should be on with you.
Well, a lot of people in this audience have probably seen you around, but a lot of our audience certainly hasn't. You're kind of new to the syndicate. You haven't had a chance to come on show. So if you don't mind, just take a short moment and just briefly introduce yourself, tell them who you are and kind of what you're up to.
Yeah. Again, it's a pleasure to be on with all of you. And I am new to the syndicate, but my name is Dalton. I'm originally from Columbus, Ohio. I went to the Ohio State University. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm having a great month. So things are good. But I, like Tony mentioned, come from an agency myself. I started working for my dad's Medicare agency about 5 years ago. We got about 8 writing agents on our team. That's it. 8 writing agents. We're not an FMO. We're barely really even a GA. But we serve 25,000 Medicare beneficiaries with a SUP or an MA plan. No PDP. PDPs don't count in that number.
Right.
So we serve a lot of people. And we had bumped into this problem that we were facing, that all of our 25,000 clients, this big group of people, were all trying to contact us during the annual enrollment period, which is, 37 business days long.
And that's 55, but you're close.
Yeah, you're well. It feels like
37.
It feels like 37, and it was crushing us from the perspective of all of our clients were calling in and trying to spell levothyroxine over the phone because they wanted to shop their plan.
Right.
What do we got to know about folks if they want to shop their plan, especially their Medicare plan? So it was going to be insurmountable. And while my dad had built this incredible business off of referrals, we had to do something. So we developed this senior-friendly, super easy to use survey that we could send to our clients in advance of AEP. Get those things like those prescriptions, those doctors, those hospitals, those pharmacies, all spelled correctly in our house. We get a signed scope of appointment before we meet these people, so we could do the research on our own time, show up to those meetings prepared. I mean, Tony, and you might be able to relate to this, but prior to introducing RetireFlo at our agency, it was the wild, wild west. We were getting lists of prescriptions on Wendy's napkins mailed to us. I talked to an agent who uses RetireFlo, but it was previously got a paper plate in the mail with blood on it. I mean, it's wild. And not to mention, you got to read their handwriting.
Yeah.
And pay for stamps and all that goofy stuff. So we're like, there's got to be a better way. And then that's when RetireFlo was born. And we're proud to share that in 2023, we launched this product around September of 2023. And I went out, knocked on every door, and I found 150 agents to use RetireFlo, and it was awesome. But that wasn't going to pay to run a business. So we made it our mission to go out there and find every Medicare agent. And last year, we met with thousands of Medicare agents across the country. And today, RetireFlo serves 7,000 Medicare and ACA agents. And Tony being one of the first. So hats off to you.
When did you launch RetireFlo? It wasn't much more than a year ago.
September 15th of 2023. So it just goes to show that everybody's got this need. It's just there wasn't a solution prior to get it resolved. And now we work really hard to build senior-friendly surveys. You're like, well, seniors can't do anything online.
Bullshit.
This they can. The font is humongous. It asks one question at a time. And we've made some serious strides in the past year, and also are releasing a whole suite of other tools now that are totally free, which I really want to talk about.
We will definitely get into that. But yeah, people that have that misnomer that Medicare beneficiaries or senior citizens can't handle the internet, like, you could not be more wrong, right? Is there a batch of them, a percentage of them that are challenged? Of course. But I mean, think about the 65-year-olds that are aging in right now. Like, a lot of these people are professionals. They probably sat behind a computer as an engineer, designer, something. They're used to at least using email and surfing the internet. Right? I mean, 98% of our traffic that comes into our business and our site and our Facebook page is all on mobile phones, right? And they're all using RetireFlo when they come and they go through our appointment process. I've got 2 94-year-old twin sisters that I serve They're absolutely adorable. I love them to death. They actually tell me they love me when they hang up on the phone. Like, we love you, Tony.
Of course they do, Tony.
It's a great thing. But they're 94 and they have no problem using the internet and doing a text signature and any of that stuff. So if you're one of those agents that's out there with that thing in your head, it's a limiting belief, number one, and we don't do limiting beliefs in this game. You can't. So if you're having that limiting belief that seniors can't handle tech, like, you need to get off that high horse and just get with the program. But we're here to talk, and we're definitely going to talk about RetireFlo, but I want to talk about Dalton Miller.
Oh boy.
What was the first thing you did when you graduated from Ohio State?
I have a little bit of interesting career backstory. Prior to joining my dad at his Medicare agency, I was very involved in politics. I worked on campaigns across the country, volunteered call centers, knocking on doors, doing that kind of thing. But I was very into the state of Ohio and its history. And I think the governorship in Ohio is like the coolest job on the planet. I had the privilege of growing up, and a family friend of ours, great grandfather, used to be the governor. He was like this bigger than life character in Ohio's history. His name was Governor Jim Rhodes. And I thought he was the coolest dude ever. Nixon was talking to him about being vice president back in the day. I mean, that's kind of that era. But I wanted to serve the state in some form or fashion, even though I was 19. And so I kind of been watching politics, and there was this gentleman named Mike DeWine, who is now the current governor of the state of Ohio, who at the time was running. And I said, I like him. I had met him a couple of times as a volunteer. And I was like, I bet I could be his assistant if I really, really tried. And so I reached out and I said, look, I want to be, he was attorney general at the time, the attorney general's assistant and driver. He needs somebody to drive him around, right? Mm-hmm. And I said, do it for free, as long as I humanly possibly can. And they were like, great hire, sold. Just don't say anything that he says in the car. Don't tell anybody. Because you got to keep those conversations private. And
absolutely.
So from my entirety of time in college, and then shortly after college, I was Governor DeWine's personal assistant, driver, and speechwriter. So I went to every county in the state of Ohio. I basically lived with him for a period of time. He and his wonderful wife, Fran. I went to the Blueberry Jamboree, the Pumpkin Show, the Pumpkin Festival, the Grape Bonanza. The Jackson, if any of you are from Ohio, the Jackson County Apple Festival is my favorite, just for the record. I was thinking about that the other day. But an incredible opportunity. And while I don't work in politics anymore, I have a passion for it. I will tell you that Governor DeWine, when I was working for him, was 73 years old and I was 19.
Wow.
And he was absolutely kicking my ass in terms of energy. I mean, this guy had a motor on him unlike anything I've ever seen before. And I kind of often ask myself, what would Mike DeWine do in the situation? Should I do that extra webinar? Should I work late? We were always the first people at the event and the last people to leave the last event at night, shake everybody's hand, to hear everybody out. And so a little bit of interesting backstory, but it's not something that anybody can do for a long time. It almost killed me. I mean, it was hard work. And he was fine. I mean, he's built different. But when you're 20, 21, 22 years old and you're living with, the 74-year-old governor of Ohio, there were times I drive past the bar and I was like, maybe someday. So it was a nice transition to go join my dad's agency and bring some of that energy with me.
So was that the transition? You went from politics, working with the governor, and then over to working in the Medicare space?
Yeah. I mean, it was a direct transfer. My dad had been trying to convince me to come work with them.
Okay.
I got this thing I got to do. And I got to serve a little bit of time as the governor's speechwriter, where I just did that. When the governor became the governor, I was relieved of my driving duties. It was passed along to the State Highway Patrol, which it should have been because I'm really not that great of a driver. But I just traveled with him. He sat in the front seat with the trooper, and I sat in the back, and I'd write the speeches and get him prepared for meetings. And it was an incredible way to kind of get ready for a professional career, and I'm very thankful for it.
What was maybe probably the biggest lesson that you think you took out of that time?
I think in that time that nothing is easy. Nothing. I mean, Governor DeWine, Attorney General at the time, was the front runner to be governor, but people were running against him.
Sure.
And you have to raise so much money to do that kind of thing. And I've kind of figured out, like, oh, he's the front runner, it'll just kind of happen. I mean, the time they get to spend and that I translate it today into the fact that last year in 2024, me and my team, which, by the way, when I say my team, it's really me and my brother, my younger brother who I hired, met with 2,700 insurance agents last year between the two of us in the calendar year of 2024. So we had our calendars open from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. at night. And he did it with me, and God love him. And my dad did some too. But, we were going to leave every stone unturned. And what it left us with, Governor DeWine understood what Ohioans needed. I feel like after this time, I've got a pretty good grasp on what Medicare agents are looking for, and especially what they're looking for from our system.
Excellent.
They can't. I mean, it's hard. It's not easy. It's not easy. You got to drive. You got to go to the place. You got to get on the plane and go to the conference. And it's worth it, though.
Absolutely, absolutely. So this makes a good segue. I'm sure you've seen this photo because you created it. So your love for politics,
yes.
Is that? Do you have a plan to ever return to that? Or are you just using that to have some fun and handle your promotions to do what you need to do with this solution that you're now solving?
I don't necessarily think so. I don't really see myself doing that. I'm having a lot of fun doing this.
Right.
But, in meeting with that many agents and in serving as many as we do at RetireFlo, it kind of just felt like a natural thing to start backing agents up. I am so, and you can relate to this, I'm so sick and tired of being lumped in with Joe Namath and Medicare Martha and Dynamite JJ Walker. And we have to stick up for ourselves as agents and tell people what our value is. I met with probably, of those 2,700, almost 2,000 of those people last year. And that's like 9 a day. I mean, it really was. I'll show you my calendar sometime. We play a role in this. My grandparents don't know what plan they should be on. And even if they spent some time doing the research, they still probably couldn't figure it out.
Right.
And while there's these Joe Namath-y call center, national hotline folks who I think mislead seniors sometimes, there's also a sneaky element too that agents have to stick up for themselves and look out for, which is these very, very slick self-enrollment online tools where beneficiaries can go out, in many cases who are in their 70s, 80s, enroll themselves in a plan based on their choosing. And while you do this stuff, how many times, Tony, does somebody come in and say, well, my neighbor's got this plan where they get free golf and I want that. And then you say, well, yes, but the doctor, that your oncologist that you've been going to for the past 15 years, who saved your life back in 2018, is not in network. And so we have to look out we got to make sure that we tell our story as agents and show our value, demonstrate to our communities, here's the role that we play. So that way we don't get automated out, don't get regulated out. And these are risks that agents, I think, sometimes take for granted. And I made a lot of friends in the past year, and I believe in what we do. I really, really do. I know our value. I know our role. We are different than the people who CMS attempts to regulate. And I just feel like we have to speak up and say something about it. So you'll see me talking.
Agreed 100%, man. I'm the same way. Like, it bugs me to see the amount of regulation that has been handed down to the ACA and Medicare space for the last several years, 4 years, 6 years maybe, but especially the last 4. And to see agents just kind of roll over and deal with it.
Yes.
And dealing with it, yes, you have to accept it to some level and adapt and put it in your business and make sure that you're doing things the ethical right way. But still, like, when they roll out those proposed final rules, they give you all of the information you need to contact and talk about it with them, to give them feedback. And I know that I would say it's probably the same thing as the 90-10 rule. I bet that probably 10% of all agents maybe took some time out to actually mail their representative or email their representative, or do what I did last week and go to the Texas State Capitol and barge in on my state representative's door and tell him what I'm about, like in a very professional, nice, ethical manner, right? But like, how many agents actually fight for their livelihood and stand up for themselves?
Yeah, and there is a difference between signing a petition and doing what you did.
Right.
There's a difference between, kind of being a passive advocate for yourself and taking this seriously. And, a part of the reason that I do why I worked in politics and why I did this was, I think there were some regulations back in the early 2010s that negatively impacted our family business pretty badly. And it bothered me. And you're allowed to be bothered, and say,
absolutely,
and tell people about it. I think your Facebook group is the first place to start, because when it's one thing if you've got a problem with it, it's another thing if 1,000 insurance agents in your community also agree with you. And by the way, they do.
Yeah.
So I'm interested. You went down to the Texas State Legislature. How was that?
Dude, I had so much fun. It was so awesome. It was super cold in Austin, so I got to break out my top coat, which I hardly ever wear. So I felt like I was super official walking around the Texas State Capitol with my suit, top coat, the whole 9 yards. I'm like, dude, I belong here. But just walking down those, I mean, the Capitol building's huge. The hallways are enormous. The ceilings are absolutely enormous. It's all granite and marble and limestone. And if you've ever been to the Texas Capitol, and I'm sure all the other nations or state capitals are great, but Texas is obviously the greatest one. It's gorgeous. And it's just, there's a regal sense when you're walking through those hallways, especially once you get through security and you realize, I am allowed to be in here. Right. And I was kind of shocked the freedom they gave us to just walk around. Like, once you get through security, like, go. And I was kind of shocked. Like, you're telling me that all I have to do is go over to that directory, look up my representative, and then I can walk right into his office, just like I was back in the field cold calling businesses door to door. Like, this is going to be great. I'm going to slay it in here. I grabbed my director and just started hitting doors.
This is, ladies and gentlemen, this is a preliminary for State Senator Merwin's campaign. I can feel it now.
No, thank you.
I'm just saying.
No, thank you. No, thank you.
I'm not sure everybody else agrees. Maybe it's not up to you, Ty. I think that maybe
it's not. Who knows? I don't know. But, yeah, there will have to be a lot of upfront. How do I say this right? Just, I don't even know how to say. Getting all the skeletons out of the closet so that the media has nothing to deal with. So we'll have to. Like, the whole first year of my campaign would be me telling everybody all the bad shit that I did, so the media has zero wind in their sail. But anyway, I digress. So, all right. So I want to talk just a little bit, like, when you move from politics into sales, selling Medicare products.
Yeah.
How much different was that for you? Was it a challenge? I mean, certainly you had good tutelage, right? You had a great leader in front of you to help you get rolling, which we all need. But like, what were some of your initial challenges that you're like, man, this is different?
Patience. I think you've met me enough times to know that I'm a generally impatient person, and sitting in front of folks. A lot of times, see the thing at my home agency at Seniority Benefit Group, we had RetireFlo before everybody else did, and so we showed up to every meeting prepared. I know what prescriptions that my clients take. I know what doctors they go to. So I know when I go into a meeting, I've got a pretty darn good idea of what plan I'm going to recommend to them. But that's not really the nature of this. It's more of a thoughtful conversation and explaining the ins and outs of Medicare and educating people on the stuff that we don't necessarily sell them. So I just was impatient. I think at first I was ready to walk in to I call Susie and Bob Senior to go meet with them and say, all right, here's your blank and your card's going to be in the mail and, see you later. Here's our phone number.
Here, deuces.
Yeah. And it's not like that
No.
at all. It's sitting down, hearing people out, even when they want to tell you something that is irrelevant to the process, making people feel heard and understood. Now, and what I've learned in that time is that what I used to think were irrelevant are sometimes indicative stories. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes it's their grandkid falling off the swing set. But that's dark, but whatever, But
happens.
Sometimes you might hear something that would indicate that maybe that there's an opportunity to work with them on something else. And so taking the time, and that's the other thing is being organized. I used to be able to, with the governor, kind of fly in somewhere, zoom into a meeting, get prepared 5 minutes before, and that's not the nature of this business either. So those were the two biggest adjustments and it was just slower. And that's okay. I think anybody who comes from a type of environment that I came from, anything's going to be slower, but I've really grown to enjoy it. And with offering RetireFlo, I'm not much of an agent anymore. I exclusively work on this. That has started to lately kind of feel the speed of before, which I've been enjoying. Now, I don't know if any of you have seen my dad. It's definitely gotten me more to a hairline like my father's, which is bleak. And folks, keep me in your thoughts and prayers. I mean, it's the bleak midwinter over here, but I will say it's been a blast, and so I'm enjoying picking that time up. But I think being patient with the person that's sitting in front of you, especially as a young person.
Sure.
I don't particularly look like I'm a Medicare beneficiary. And so sometimes seniors come in and they sit down and they say, who the hell are you? And why would you know about this? But for the young people who are in this Facebook group and would tune into this is a fantastic industry to be in. And as long as you can demonstrate your value and say, hey, well, although I look like this, here's what I can do for you. I think seniors find that to be endearing.
Absolutely.
I find it to be an advantage,
Absolutely.
So it's just how you look at it.
Right. At what point in your 5 year, you said you started with the agency 5 years ago. At what point did you guys create RetireFlo for yourself?
It was after I walked into my coworker Debbie's office. Debbie has been with my dad for 25 years. She's the greatest lady ever. And she was listening to a client try to spell her prescriptions over the phone. And I sat in the room and listened to her do it. And she told me that when she was done with the phone call, that during the annual enrollment period, she's more on the client retention specialist team. So she was taking many of those phone calls, far more than our sales agents. She told me that she got chest pains when she drives on the road to our office during the fall. It's called Hard Road. And she got chest pains. And I was like, there's gotta be something. So this is about 2 years in. I built a janky, ugly form, and we sent it to of our 25,000, it was probably about 20,000 at the time. We sent it to 10,000 of them as a test. And this form that captured an SOA, drugs, doctors, hospitals, and pharmacies. And I hand built it myself on a form generator. And when we sent to those 10,000 people as a test, we got, before AEP started, 6,000 submissions. So we sent it to them probably 7-8 times before AEP. This is 2022 AEP.
7 to 8 times.
7 to 8 times. And that's the other thing I want to talk about is we're not being bashful in 2025. If you're going to help somebody during the annual enrollment period or OEP, you got to know some stuff about them. We got to be straight up. So we sent it to them over and over and over again, 7 or 8 times. We take them off the list. They completed it. And we got 6,000 submissions. And I was like, okay. I was like, if we can make this pretty and make it senior friendly and do some things like remove a username and a password barrier, and narrate why we're asking these questions, put our headshots and our logos on it. I was like, I bet we're onto something here. And so we built it all year long, or I focused on that, and we rolled it out. And our take rate went up pretty dramatically. So every year we get about, and this is what the feedback that we're getting from agents who use RetireFlo year after year, we're getting somewhere around 75 to 80% take rate of people in your book of business who are just willing to use a computer.
Yeah.
Now, if you send it out once and you bury it in the bottom of the email, not going to get
it's not working.
But that's what I've been trying to talk to agents about lately is we must communicate with our client base, and our call to action must be clear. If you want people to call you for a new sales campaign, put your phone number on there in big numbers. If you want people to book an appointment with you on your Calendly, put the link as a big button in your email. If you want people to email you, do that. Make that call to action clear and then track it. Okay, I've sent this email and I got 61 phone calls. And then I sent in a different email that asked people to book an appointment on my Calendly or whatever. And I got 90. Okay, why? And so I've been telling agents, I'm like, make your call to action clear, and then be a little bit of a geek about it. It's your business, invest the time in it.
Absolutely. It is your business. Where did you learn to develop a funnel, however, whatever you call it? Where did you learn the tech skills to do that?
I didn't.
You did not. Okay.
No,
you instructed someone to do it. This is what I need. You go do it.
Yeah. I have some friends who are young Ohio State graduates, software engineers who I work with to develop this. And what's been neat is we got some recognition from our alma mater. Our chief product officer, Brad Browning, was just doing a panel at Ohio State on what it's like to work on a successful project, and RetireFlo was that project. So it's been a lot of fun.
Very cool.
These guys are nails. I mean, they do stuff that I don't understand. Now, I've come to learn about it a little bit over time, but the biggest thing that we have is close communication. When I hear from an agent, this isn't firing the way that it's supposed to fire, they know immediately, and we get things resolved quick.
Nice. Did you have, specific to the scope of appointment piece, did you have any reservations about just putting that out there? No.
The CMS wants our beneficiaries to complete SOAs in advance of a meeting. It's now 48 hours in advance of a meeting, and we got to be able to do that, and we got to be able to. There's a double whammy in this. Okay, yes, it's awesome to capture your client's data in advance, to know those things about them, to go out and do your plan research, know those drugs and doctors and hospitals and pharmacies, address information, etc., plan preferences in some cases. And I was worried that, okay, well, if I bundle the scope into, that's the final question in RetireFlo, if any of you are curious, is that scope of appointment form, or in our ACA product, it's that consent form. I was worried about the efficacy and saying, okay, well, people are going to share this information and they're going to get this stodgy, scary government document where they think they're signing their life away. Are they going to do it? And I think the most important thing we do is we ask agents to upload their headshot. And right before they get to the scope, we tell them why and what this document is, and explain to people, look, it's simply a permission slip to discuss these plan options with you. You're not signing your life away. And I just think the more transparent we can be about it, the better. And that's what our system's proven is look, we can explain to people, hey, you got to do this thing for me. The CMS requires it. You're not signing your life away. You're simply giving us permission to talk to you about it. And
right.
As you saw with the TCPA rules, consent, I think, is going to become a more important topic for the years to come, especially with some of the bad actors in our industry.
Absolutely, it certainly will. And I'm definitely never have been one to struggle with compliance paralysis.
Right.
But that was kind of where my question was going. My understanding on the scope of appointment is that, and please correct me if I'm wrong, I got no problem being wrong, was that document had to be a CMS approved document in order to be used and accepted and valid and compliant, right? Hence, they have the form number at the bottom with the date and everything on there when you look at any of the carrier scopes, et cetera, et cetera. So when I was asking, like, did you have any concerns about putting it out there?
Oh, yeah. So, and I'll share this with you. And for people who are tuning in at home, it's a process. So we weren't going to do it because it was scary and got to get CMS approval. But I convinced my dad. I was like, I'm going to go out and try and see what this process is like. And so we submitted RetireFlo through the health plan management system to get that CMS compliance status, and we got it. But which was, I think, probably the hardest thing that I had to do in the launch of RetireFlo.
How long did that take?
It allegedly is supposed to take a couple of weeks. It took us about 5 months. And for folks who don't understand what HPMS is, it's the health plan management system. So, and for those of you at home, comment if my understanding of this is not correct, but this was my experience, at least. CMS, to some degree, farms out their compliance to the insurance carriers. So they say, okay, here's our set of rules. Carriers, and to some degree, go out and enforce them in terms of these marketing materials.
Mm-hmm.
RetireFlo is considered communication. This is a boring subject, so I won't bore you with it. But RetireFlo is considered communication. So historically, we did not have to go out and get that approved. We wanted to go do it anyway. So we go and submit, and how it works is you take your material and you give it to the insurance carriers and say, do you, please don't, but do you have a problem with this? And they say, let's say insurance carrier 1 says, no, it's fine. Insurance carrier 2 says, yes, change this. We don't like the way that you have this written. It's not compliant. Then it's got to go back to insurance carrier 1 until you get through all the ones who are going to review your material, which can sometimes be 6, 7 carriers. And so it's this never ending thing. And sometimes they don't agree with each other.
Sure.
And yet these are our compliance officers. So at the insurance carrier. So it was really tough, but we got to material that was approved. We did it again last year. We'll do it again this year. But it's brutal. But any submission that comes through on RetireFlo, it's got that SMID on it.
Yep.
And what's double cool about our system is the report that you get at the end of your client's answers to those survey questions, also approved through the HPMS process. So should Susie Senior come back to you, Tony, and say, you enrolled me in a plan, but you didn't tell me if my Eliquis was covered. And you're like, well, I don't think you told me that you took Eliquis, which sometimes happens. Our senior clients can be forgetful. Now you got a time-stamped CMS compliant document that says, in fact, you didn't. Not to be negative towards our clients, but we got to back ourselves up. It's like,
absolutely.
Look, it's a he said, she said thing. And in this scenario, I think a compliance officer or somebody who's reviewing a grievance might err on the side of a beneficiary. And now you can say, hey, look, here's what they told me. And we backed up a countless number of agents at this point in time, hundreds in terms of grievances filed against them, which has been great.
Oh, well, okay. You work with an agency. You guys have 25,000 clients.
Yeah.
How in the world do you have time to take on another 7,000 agents as clients in a whole nother kind of atmosphere that's similar and overlaps? Like, what was it that drove you to wanting to do that? To like really wanting to like, this is my little piece of software. We're killing it with it. Let's make it available to everybody. And let's open up a whole nother world to get another several thousand clients.
We didn't want to. Honestly. We released RetireFlo. It's working for our home agency. It was great. We released the version of RetireFlo that agents see today in 2022, I believe. That was pretty and senior friendly. And it was our best AEP ever by a country mile. I mean, it was night and day better. They had our senior clients had completed that ugly form the year before. Now they got the pretty one. Our take rate was through the roof. And we had all this time to focus on new sales because we weren't doing all this retention stuff to spending hours to flip a PDP that makes us $3. And so our numbers were so strong that our local FMO in our community came to our office and said, what the hell is going on over here, guys? Show us, tell us
the secret sauce.
Tell us what's up. And so we showed them RetireFlo and they said, we have to have this for our agents. And we were like, no, this is the thing, sorry. And then I went to Medicare Con. You were probably there, but we didn't know each other then. You might have been on stage.
The Alabama one?
No, in Vegas 2023.
Yeah.
You probably were on stage. Well,
because you did it Vegas back to back. Yeah, that's right. The year I met you, I wasn't MC, but I emceed the 2023 event in Vegas.
Yeah. Well, that's funny, small world. I heard Medicare Bob was the first person to say in front of me that the 48-hour rule was back. And so I texted my dad in the audience and I said, I think we should offer this to agents because agents aren't going to be able to handle this 48-hour rule. It's a pain in the ass. And it was just not a problem for us because
I love the 48-hour rule personally.
Right. It sort of separates the field,
a little bit. But
if you're worried about the 48-hour scope, if you don't have a system in place to manage that, should you be doing business anyway?
Probably not. We have a simple transition because we're mostly a telesales shop, but we have a simple transition. And if they do come in, it's an inbound, so we can deal with it anyway. But for our people that we get an appointment with them, whatever we call, we do our intake, we use RetireFlo obviously because we adore it. But we'll talk to them and it's a simple thing. You don't have to explain that process in a negative manner, right? And I think that's where agents get caught up because they look at it negative. So when they explain it to their client, they explain it in a negative way.
So right.
It's an easy way to say it. Thank you, Susie Senior. I have everything I need now. I just need a little bit of time to do my job and go through the plans so that I can find some excellent recommendations for you. Yeah. I have some time available next Thursday. Does morning or afternoon work better for you?
And Susie Senior now has the confidence to say, okay, Tony's going to show up prepared.
Correct.
I did the thing that I needed to do. I mean, Tony cannot go into Susie Senior's drug cabinet, or else he'll never be able to run for office. Right. So it's like, we just got to know some stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that. When you go to the doctor's office, they make you fill out a stodgy clipboard. Okay. Beforehand, it's horrible.
My new web developer made me do an intake form.
Yeah.
And then it's cool, let me look through this and I'll give you a buzz back. One of my social media people that I've hired, same thing. Here, take my intake form with all your assets, everything you got going on. Like, they want that information so that they can walk into that next meeting prepared.
Yes.
So like, it shouldn't be any different for us. Like, and that's, again, that's one of the issues with insurance. The low barrier to entry, unfortunately, can create an atmosphere of unprofessionalism in a lot of ways.
You
right?
can say
You have to treat this business like a professional, act like a professional, because we're no different than the lawyers, the other people that are out there that have intake forms. They want you to fill some paperwork out up front, etc. And if you do it right, you approach it right, you're going to perform better. Your clients are going to trust you better. Yes. And if they trust you better, they're going to be more loyal. And if they're more loyal, that means they stay on the books, which means you're more lucrative. It's not that hard to really to put together. And this is where I really love what you've done. And you go right back to the person I was going to quote as well, Medicare Bob, right? He was on stage and he announced the 48-hour scope was back. And then he also said something else that was extremely important, and something that I took to light, was that the onboarding experience for the client in Medicare must improve, or we're going to get more regulation, period. Or they're just going to remove us, right? Like, they gave us some crayons, they gave us a coloring book, and if we don't stay inside the lines, they're just going to take it away from us, period. Yeah. So that's why I really love RetireFlo, because you've met the industry, not just with a simplified solution that helps an agent streamline their business, but you actually helped the entire industry by creating a solution that improves the client onboarding experience, which therefore should reduce complaints to Medicare, which therefore should reduce regulation against us in future years. I'm extremely grateful to you for that alone.
Thanks. It's, it's sort of incalculable. I think some of the things that, hopefully we've done, we produced last year in our while we were alive in 2023, we had 150 agents using it. But this past year, we produced just short of 1 million submissions. And during the annual enrollment period, we were doing about a submission a second for around 11 days, which was really fun. And so to think that's every second a Susie Senior across America was doing this, I wonder. I don't really want to know, but what would have happened as the alternative? And I think people would have been licking stamps. I don't know we've got Seinfeld watchers in this. But
yeah, definitely.
Didn't George's wife die?
George's wife died from the glue on the envelopes.
So maybe we saved a life or two. I don't know.
Very possible. Absolutely. Now, he went on to help, chair her foundation in the show. But anyway, yeah, he died, or she died from licking envelopes because he bought the cheap envelopes. But certainly a possibility. But I would take it another step. You probably, right, in a lot, like some of those other clients, they would have just gone to eHealth, GoHealth, SelectQuote. They would have been subject to the first person from overseas that called them and got them on the line. They're like, yeah, I do need to review my stuff, right? Because maybe their agent didn't have a solution like RetireFlo to get in front of them super, super fast, super efficiently. So again, thank you for that. I want to show you added something recently called the splash page.
Yes.
And I want to show my splash page real quick.
Yes.
Online so everybody can see it. This is a really cool piece that I like. And when we haven't fully learned the best way to use the splash page, like we have it in our signatures, we're putting it in some other areas, because mostly we take them right to Submission Center. Sure. Like, I have the link for Submission Center built into our appointment process. So when they book an appointment, the next thing that comes to them is RetireFlo link. We have it in signatures, QR codes, buttons, and other stuff. But this is a pretty cool thing here that you put together that allows them to create a referral, leave your review. It shows your rating, how many ratings you got, all your states. You can put in your links. They're all live links, right, for your websites and everything that you need. And then it just lists all the banging reviews that you got.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is a
Load more.
Nobody's shocked, Tony. I mean, look, 83 honestly seems low. I want you to use Splash to crank that number up.
We'll get there. We'll get there. We're still new. And I'm still new over here writing business again. So,
but we wanted to do something nice for just to thank everybody in the industry for working with us and trusting us in their intake process. And we also wanted to develop something that helped agents kind of speak to like their value. Why you heard me talk about why should you work with me over calling a hotline or that you see on TV from somebody misleading, or working with one of those slick online brokers that doesn't really have any people associated with it. We had to stick up for ourselves. So we released Splash, and it is totally free. I want to be.
It's just an add-on.
No, well, yeah, it's an add-on, but it's totally free for everybody.
Right.
You can come on, and you don't have to purchase one of our surveys on RetireFlo. It's free.
Oh,
no, it's free 99. I mean, it's as free as it gets. You don't have to be an existing user of RetireFlo. You've got to create an account, but you can do so totally free and set up your splash page. So everybody who's tuning into this should go on to RetireFlo and set one of these up, but it really has two primary functions: star reviews and referrals.
Yeah.
On those star reviews, you can connect your Google business account. We were thrilled to team up with Google to get access to their Google Business API. So that way you can connect your Google Business account, drive Google reviews through Splash, and boost your SEO, show up higher in a search. And it does a whole bunch of other things. You get beautiful social media cards that you can post online that say, hey, Susie Senior reviewed me, and here's what she said. It's got your logo and all your contact information. But the referral piece, I think, is pretty slick.
mm-hmm.
There's major compliance regulations around provided to us by TCPA, and we wanted to find a thoughtful way that beneficiaries could refer you out. And the best way to grow your business is word of mouth. I mean, it's
absolutely
warm and fuzzy. So when Susie Senior clicks refer a friend, maybe on her phone or computer, she's got two options. She can text a friend or email a friend, and it's going to pull in a pre-drafted message that you write, whatever you want to write, into Susie Senior's phone. So that way, when she goes to text her friend, it's that pre-drafted message. All she has to do is type in her friend's phone number or her contact up here. So that way, that referral doesn't come from you, doesn't come from RetireFlo.
Yeah.
Your client, Susie Senior, more likely to get it done. So we're going to be providing all kinds of statistics, but our Splash tool, which again is free to everybody, no strings attached, don't have to be a paying user of RetireFlo to have access to it. Even though you should, because our surveys are awesome.
It's phenomenal.
And I'm about to drop a promo code on everybody here. Syndicate 40, all caps, Syndicate 40. You can get all of our surveys for 40% off, which is banging in my opinion. But I forget where I was going with this. Oh, just that it's only going to provide clear value. Oh, okay. I lost my train of thought, Tony. I'm going to be honest, but I have. We launched Splash 2 weeks ago. We currently today have produced 12,000 reviews for Medicare agents and ACA agents and life insurance agents and long-term care agents and final expense agents across the country. 12,000 star reviews that say, wow, here is why I worked with an individual independent agent. We have 12,000 of those. Actually, let me check it right now. I'm curious because I want to know.
Make sure I heard that right. You have 12,000 five-star reviews that clients are giving to agents that use RetireFlo. Did I hear that right?
Who use Splash? That's correct.
And that's fairly amazing.
2 weeks. Okay, but NABIB went out and encouraged people to complete that survey.
Yep.
I believe they've been doing it for 3 months. I believe they only captured 7,000 in a 3-month period. We did 12 in 2 weeks. So come check back with me when all of you come set up a demo to learn about RetireFlo and ask me how many we've produced, because we're going to be using that data to advocate for agents to say, hey, here's 12,000 times seniors or beneficiaries in America.
That's genius. That's genius.
So
see, like, come on, man. This is some bullshit. I'm going to do this
again.
I think
it's like, okay, well, you don't see the
that one.
you don't see why we're different. Well,
I 100% see why you're different.
You know? But I just know we got some data to back it up, and so that's one thing people should be anticipating for me is us backing people up across the country, because I'm so sick and tired of this.
Absolutely, man. Dude, if you guys are out there listening, dude, vote Dalton for agents. 100%, man. This guy's got our back. He's solving major problems in the industry, from just that simplify your business, but you just said exactly what I said. They're going to improve the onboarding experience. It's going to reduce complaints to Medicare. He's creating a situation where he can show to people that make those types of decisions against us, like, no, look, everybody's saying that independent agents are the shit. Like, there's 12,000 5-star reviews I've got for independent agents just in 2 weeks. Like, this is outstanding stuff, man. I really appreciate you taking time to come on and talk about this stuff. But and we definitely need to get you back on to talk about how you guys built 25,000 clients using referrals. That's a whole nother beautiful topic.
I got some thoughts on that I would love to share. Exactly what we did. I think sometimes people see what we're doing and they're like, why? Like, oh, Dalton, are you an FMO? Are you trying to recruit? No. I just want people to use RetireFlo. That's right. All. And we got free products. We got paid products. You got promo code Syndicate40. But it's like, I'm passionate about this stuff. I'm 28 years old and I'm passionate about insurance intake. I don't know how this happened to me, but it's where I'm at today. And it's been a privilege. And to me, it's about the friends that I've made in the past year. And I don't want to see these people's businesses harmed by someone not understanding the value that they provide. So we believe in you and what you do as an agent. If anybody wants to learn more about RetireFlo, go to retireflo.com. There's a big thing at the top that says set up a demo, set up a time. You'll meet with a real person. It'll probably be me, my brother, my dad. And we'll just talk about why we do it, what we do, and how our system works. But
yeah, it's super simple too. Like, you don't have to be a tech superstar. No. It's an easy platform. It's like push this button, logo, type your phone number there, send. Like, it's not hard. It's super easy to use. So
you can copy and paste. You can use RetireFlo, and then I just, with my final call to action is always when it's getting to be August season and it's the fall, or maybe even in advance of an appointment in the spring, and somebody calls you and says, hold on, I'm going to go to my drug cabinet and get out my lisinopril so I can spell it for you. Just remember, you could have used RetireFlo.
Could have used RetireFlo. Absolutely. You've done some, as we wrap up real quick, I want to see something. I have one more question. Like, you built the platform for Medicare, you added the ACA side now, so you have it for both lanes of business. What's coming next? Any hints that you can throw out, something that you're working on that
I can
figure out?
I can share something for the syndicate. I'll share two things. One will be a little bit more ominous than the other. One is more formally is we have a life insurance survey in the pipeline that agents will be able to go on and utilize to gather intake for a potential annuity or life insurance, which we're really, really excited. And a whole suite of other surveys that are sort of pick and choose what works best for your business. So stay tuned on that. The other thing is, I think what you should expect from us this year and in the next 2 years, but really this year, is we're going to be teaming up with the CRM that you use. And I don't know who's listening to this. That's how confident I am that we're going to be teaming up with them. We're going to be doing, many of you probably use Go High Level. We have an integration with them. We're actually enhancing it. It's actually going to get cheaper and better and free. The integration itself will be free to everyone. We used to kind of productize it. We're going to be taking that away, which will be great for our users. But if you have a CRM and you want your data to flow into it, it will. So we couldn't be more excited about that. And so, but there's some, excuse my French, but there's some shit coming. So
There's some shit coming. Absolutely, brother. Well, man, thank you again for coming on and taking time out of your busy day, your busy morning. He's out there on the Pacific Coast, guys. He got up at like 6 a.m. just for me and just for y'all.
I do it for you again, Tony. I would.
Well, I appreciate it, man. And remember, like if you're listening out there, right, vote for Dalton. Dalton for Agents. There's his site right there. You can check it out. And certainly RetireFlo.com if you're out there in the Medicare space or if you're in the ACA space. Trust me, you need this product. It simplifies your business, makes it easy, makes you more productive, and gets you more referrals, and it'll get you more reviews. What else could you ask for? So go to RetireFlo.com. Syndicate40 in all caps is the promo code to get you 40% off. And man, reach out to Dalton for questions. Go to the site, set up a demo. As always, we do this show every Wednesday. We do it live. That's how it rolls. We'll see you next time for Winning on Wednesday. Have a great day.
See ya.